All right, welcome everybody. We got May 9th of 2023 here. Welcome to CivicTechYYC. I'm Ross Platel, and I'm your regular Civic Tech host. Tonight we have Minecraft Cityscape, Designing Calgary here with Jason and Cameron. Just a little bit of background on Jason. As the Economic Resilience Program Lead, Jason advances economic opportunities built on the success of all Calgarians, working with the collaboration of the Analytics and Innovation team. Jason's work often is on the leading edge of what's next, including fostering resilient and vibrant community. Whether it's exploring issues of digital equity, Calgary's Innovation District, the Level Up Student Design Challenge, or advancing actions through truth and reconciliation, Jason is at his best connecting big city building ideas with champions from the community, fellow innovators, and his colleagues within the City of Calgary. And just a land acknowledgement for this evening. CivicTechYYC is an organization resides on the traditional territories of the peoples of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot First Nation tribes of the Tsuut'ina, the Piikani, the Kainai, the Stoney Nakoda, First Nations tribes of the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley and Tsuut'ina First Nation. And this is also homeland to the historic Northwest Métis and Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. Just a quick background on Civic Tech. Civic Tech is the use of technology for public good. We use data to design and address challenges that citizens are facing, help citizens and governments work together to use technology and design, pursue opportunities for greater citizen engagement and services, as well as grow public engagement to enhance digital services in ways that are more inclusive, representative, innovative, open, and citizen-centered. Civic Tech is a global movement. Over the last 15 years, it's grown with the help of organizations like Code for All. In the US, there's been cities like Chicago, Boston, New York City that have led the Civic Tech movement, and also important national organizations like Code for America, the US Digital Service, and 18F. And there's other Civic Tech organizations here in Canada. So I said Code for Canada is the one that helps us here, as well as other government agencies, such as the Canadian Digital Service. Launching Civic Tech here in Calgary, we started in 2017 by bringing people together who had an interest in improving the community through technology by leveraging the support of the City of Calgary and the Rainforest Alberta Network. The driving force was to break down the barriers between sector silos and create space for collaboration, addressing challenges and opportunities of citizens and government. And then you can just see here kind of the combination of the different sections that make up the Civic Tech community. We're part of the Tech for Good movement, so there's other areas within that as well, like community tech, digital rights, place tech, all that come together there. And looking at data in the social sector, I again have to figure out a new chart for this one because we are now in 2023 and this data has probably exploded with everything over the last. But with the amount of data, the importance is increasing for us to work together to be able to leverage that. Organizations are trying to leverage that with the power of data, but many people lack the skills to understand and use that data. Professionals want to become more engaged, and here at Civic Tech, we promote those projects and ideas to make the tech for good happen. Just looking at the data-informed learning, so that data is the foundation that builds on the information and knowledge and then wisdom that builds up in the knowledge pyramid there. Just talking about some of our major projects, one that's kind of on the go right now is the BudLib project, which is the library database project. We've done blockchain projects before, and Alice Lamb has done her volunteer organization app called Volley that started here through Civic Tech. We're also coordinating with some civic user testing groups, and for civic user testing groups, they're grassroots groups that facilitate better and more inclusive accessibility user testing that engages residents in the creation of technology that serves them. The concept started in Chicago and has spread across many cities, including the Toronto's program, and now with Inclusity Calgary. So Inclusity Calgary is a team of technologists, designers, public employees, community organizers, entrepreneurs, policy analysts, and other engaged citizens, all with a shared vision that Calgary can be more accessible for all. It's a mission to plan and design and run testing sessions with inclusive and representative groups of Calgarians to improve usability of products, processes, services, and teams in the public, including private and not-for-profit sectors. We're proudly supported by the Calgary Foundation, and it's an organization that was started in partnership with Calgary UX. And just here's a list of some of the other partner organizations and groups that we're affiliated with, including Code for Canada, that I mentioned earlier, Calgary UX, as well as Data for Good, Rainforest Alberta, YYC Data Society, Platform Calgary, and Immigrant Techies Alberta. And if you want to catch any of our socials, I've got all of our social handles there. I'm going to go ahead and do my stop screen share and let Jason start up his deck.
Thanks. Yeah, happy to chat about what we've been working on with Calgary Board of Education and Microsoft Minecraft. If you haven't seen, if you haven't seen a presentation from us before, we'll talk a little bit about what Level Up is. It's really a chance for the school boards to work with the city on aligning their curriculum with some of our strategy documents. It seems really boring, but when you add a tool like Minecraft, where the young people are very comfortable communicating and sharing and developing in, it makes exploring policy like the cultural plan or the downtown strategy quite exciting. So right, so this is our second season. Last year we had about 12,000 students and about 800 teachers that were trained on how to deliver CBE or Alberta curriculum through Minecraft. We had one site. It was just an empty parking lot, and students were asked to imagine what that could do, what they could do in that parking lot to advance vibrancy in the downtown. Season 2, much bigger, much more people, much more students, much more investment from all three partners, and we welcomed Calgary Catholic School Division as well as Rocky View School Division in their first year. So I'll have you launch the video here because I won't have sound.
Oki, Dada Nastada, Umbawastich, and Tanshe. Hello from Treaty 7 territory. Welcome everyone to Level Up Calgary Season 2, Achievement Unlocked. Calgary is already one of the best places in the world to live. It's a city situated on the intersection of the Bow and Elbow rivers, where the flow of ideas comes as naturally as the beauty of the land. We are a city of opportunity and innovation, full of big ideas, where all Calgarians play a part in building this great place. This is a city where we work together to advance our collective social, economic, and climate resilience goals. This season, you will be designing accessible and sustainable public spaces that celebrate diversity, foster equity, and create unity for all Calgarians. I'm excited to see your ideas for a welcoming park that honors the history and reflects the future of Calgary's Chinatown. Or your designs for an accessible and friendly Green Line underground station. How will you design a literary street festival or reimagine how Fort Calgary can celebrate the generations of community along the banks of the Elbow River? I also can't wait for you to meet all the amazing Calgarians who have stepped up to assist in guiding you through your projects. Partnering with Minecraft and the Calgary Board of Education on this project means more young Calgarians thinking about our city's future. And for Season 2, we are also happy to welcome students from Calgary Catholic School District and Rocky View Schools.
In Level Up Calgary Season 2, Achievement Unlocked, there are 4 unique challenges to choose from: Fort Calgary, Green Line, Sien Lok Park, and Calgary Public Library. You will also find a storytelling task designed specifically for early learners. This year's challenge theme is creating vibrant and sustainable public spaces that celebrate diversity, foster equity, and create unity for all Calgarians. At each build site, you'll find non-player characters, NPCs, who will provide valuable information with connections to City Council's Resilient Calgary foundations, climate, economic, and social resilience. Level Up Calgary features local artists, musicians, public art, and landmark structures that celebrate our city's heritage while capturing the vibrancy of our community and promise of a sustainable future. Start by downloading the customized Level Up Calgary world. Explore and interact with the world individually or as a group. Select a build site, review the challenge prompt and resources, and start building. When you finish building, record a short video explaining your design. Make sure to submit your entry to your school's Minecraft designate by April 14th. Your submissions will be reviewed by a City of Calgary judging panel, with winners announced in late spring. For more information about the challenge, visit your school district's Level Up Calgary webpage.
I moved to Calgary 25 years ago and never looked back. Because of people like you who make our community so welcoming, I'm very proud to call this place home. And now, let's all put on our city building hats and get to work.
We started, like I said, last year was our first year. This year, there's Level Up Los Angeles, Barcelona, New York has reframed their format to be like ours. London, the mayor's office launched theirs this year, and it really is, Calgary really is pushing where this can go. So yeah, it's getting tons of attention, but this year we're hoping for about 35,000 students to participate, and we'll go through about how it works and how it ties to city policy and why we're investing in this with really it's time. From this year, there's about 24 NPCs or 24 non-player characters that are city champions. So there's, Alex Sarian to Wakefield Brewster, Sarah Milieu from the library. It's quite a crowd, and so each site has 3 or 4 characters that the students can go and they talk to and they learn about what the needs are, what the hopes and dreams are for that site from local community champions, and then they're given some prompts to explore civic policy around those opportunities, and then set out to go build it. So again, we have the 4 sites up there. We have that's Eau Claire Mall. So in the Minecraft Education Edition, you can actually tear down the mall a little bit early. You can dig your hole underground. You can build the station, and you're asked by Councillor Walcott, Darshpreet, and Nabil Ramji from Pedesting to build an accessible underground sea train station. Fort Calgary, you meet with Métis representatives, Elder Sokogoto, their youth lead, and you're asked to help design a new wing of Fort Calgary. Calgary Public Library asks you to build a street festival for their LitCon, their literary convention for youth. And of course, Sien Lok Park is this massive green space in Chinatown, the only green space in Chinatown, and you're asked to reimagine it while maintaining the cultural heritage of the site, recognizing the history of resilience and oppression, but also creating a welcoming site for all Calgarians. So those are the 4 builds. Yes, how might we create a vibrant space that reflects the history of the Blackfoot Nations, Tsuut'ina, Stoney, and First Nations, and of course our Métis Nation Region 3. Flexible multi-use outdoor facility for Calgary Public Library. Really, this site is really all about my social engineering. I would love 3rd Street out front of the library to be closed to traffic, at least on Saturdays and Sundays for activation. I think it's a great pedestrian street, or has the potential to be, with 2 big anchor tenants on both sides, and of course platform at the end. Green Line, right? Design an inviting Green Line station. that really addresses mobility, climate change, and of course equity. And Councillor Walcott gives a great chat, a great speech about what mobility means to him, and it's a chance to interact with them. Sien Lok Park, Councillor Terry Wong, Danny Ng, Arts and Culture and Parks team, as well as urban planners. They're all on that site because we just launched the Tomorrow's Chinatown strategy document. And if you look at the green line, I think there's a few documents there, the green line strat, the transportation mobility strategy document. Public Library has an amazing strategic plan. Fort Calgary's is really good. These are all written in plain language, so they're very accessible by students. And it's just this, the city hasn't done a great job at engaging young people. We don't do a good job at engaging those that are difficult to reach. Or, we're good at putting surveys out, and we have lots of open houses, and those tend to be very selective, and it takes a lot of privilege often to participate in city engagement, right? You've got the time to attend a design charrette. You're sent the survey, or you're called, but young people in particular, or people with English as a second language, or diverse or neurodiverse, or physical limitations that stop people from participating or engaging are rarely addressed. It costs more money. It takes more attention. With young people, we have to get permission from the parents to engage. So things like Level Up, where we have 30,000 kids participating and providing their input on the kinds of infrastructure and activities that support their version of vibrancy, their version of belonging and safety. It's really difficult to do. So this is a great window in for us. It really is invaluable. If there's 30,000 participants, we still only see a couple hundred of submissions from students because the schools narrow it down. And that's kind of our barrier this year, I think. And this is an aside, but ideally we would get permission to it sounds horrible, this sounds slimy when I say it out loud, to mine that data, because ideally it would be great if we could say junior high students in these communities in the Northwest look for swings in teenage themed playgrounds, or this group in the Southwest at this economic, in the neighborhoods with this economic makeup, look for these kind of play fields, or this group really likes little free libraries, right? And we could really start to if you had 30,000 students talking in their videos about what elements they're looking for in their community, it'd be great. But you can understand, though, when you're dealing with young people, there'd be some concerns from the school board about creating a database to be mined. So we're talking about ways we could make that happen. Other cities have asked us, because we set up the parameters, and we've got that AI skill internally to the city to set that up. So cities like Winnipeg are moving that a little bit forward. Yeah, that's just some of the cool engagement that can happen that I'm going off topic. So again, really in the game, there's these sites, they go and visit the characters in game. Then those characters link to actual videos where you get a little bit more than 240 characters to go into your area of expertise. You link to tons of strategy documents, and of course the greater downtown plan, the downtown strategy are all part of that. And then it looks like this. This is a grade 5 class in Lake Bonavista. So it's not just about playing video games. I think this year we're well over 45,000 hours of student time logged in from the 3 school board, 45,000 hours. But really strong teachers have turned that into equal amount of time on the research and planning side. So you can see how this one class here has taken that. How do we create a welcoming and inclusive community, not just for their classroom, but for their school board, for the city, but then even right down to Lake Bonavista. And then just if we can have grade 5 students looking at land use and transit and reading council priority areas, man, these kids come out of this program more informed than some of your favorite counselors. It truly is phenomenal. And so this is their project planning wall in Lake Bonavista, but I've seen the same thing in Forest Lawn. Yeah, it truly is. I feel like, as a policy wonk, I feel like you're fostering this next generation of political nerds. It's awesome. All right, good. So from this season, I haven't seen all the submissions, but some of the teachers have been posting student designs. We've got a class working on accessible underground C train station. So she is actually tearing down, digging into the earth and building walls. Top right is a new wing of Fort Calgary. That looks pretty cool. And then, I mean, I'm really excited about the library festival one, the LitCon, because again, I can't wait to close that street. So you can see behind the stalls there on the bottom left is the municipal building, and then of course the library on the right. In this year's, and then the one with the Swedish flags on it, you'll see in the background Platform Innovation Center is back there as well. So we're really, through the 4 sites that we have this year, we're starting to get almost a complete walkable downtown, all mapped out through Minecraft, and we'll just be able to there won't be such investment needed on the Minecraft side every year because we'll have most of the downtown mapped, and we just keep coming up with cool projects. So right. Ross, before we flip to this, and then I forget to take mute off again, while we don't have videos from this year yet, this is one of the winning ones from last year. So this is for a community rec center. And Ross, can I ask you to share and launch that?
Our athletic gym is our Level Up Calgary build, being something our group thought of as something that not only reflects us, but is able to create an influential impact to Calgarians. This workspace represents multiple pillars of Calgary's downtown strategy plan, but we'd like to focus on 2, the work and connect pillars.
We first thought of this workspace to be a regular athletic gym, but we expanded further throughout our brainstorming. By creating an area in Calgary that not only consists of a recreational athletic center, but an area just for Calgarians to connect with each other. This is why we chose to focus on the fitness and social aspects in this video. We realized how gyms all around Calgary have a certain community of people. They all have one thing in common, which is to work better for themselves, mentally and physically. So we wanted to bring that certain community to downtown Calgary, an area where the population is much more dense. By bringing this building to downtown, it is able to influence Calgarians to create mental and physical goals, connect with other Calgarians socially, and encourage and enrich their lives to a positive change.
Our athletic center consists of multiple sports facilities which are listed on screen. With all these selections of activities, we provide an area for active training in the most populated part of Calgary, making the downtown core more accessible for people living in Calgary's heart. Our facility not only has all the work and fitness aspects, but a number of different areas, activities, arts and programs located around our building for Calgarians to connect and socialize, including art pieces of Canada's history, an outdoor garden for Calgarians to socialize and connect by helping and observing life, and multiple different shops and pop-up restaurants if guests feel hungry or just want a place to hang around, shop, and eat.
It's important to also recognize and acknowledge the land we are on right now, as we shall be thankful that we are able to use this land, Calgary, to work together and improve it for the future. We believe that this will be the best choice for downtown Calgary, as it creates a large area for Calgarians in the downtown area to have access to a place where they become more self-aware and improve themselves. This design idea will most definitely strengthen Calgary and its downtown community by bringing in Calgarians who all want to either improve their health or a place to hang out, have fun, and socialize.
We'd like to thank you for this opportunity to make Calgary a more friendly, comfortable, accessible workplace where Calgarians can come together and interact. And lastly, we hope we're able to make Calgary more connected.
Andy X.
Ethan M. and Tyson L.
All right. Okay, so now I apologize. Those kids are talking so fast because their submission could only be 2 minutes long. So they're trying to get as much in as they can. Yeah, that one was really good. So what we took with those winners is their class, not just the 4 of them, but their class got to come in. We went down to the platform and they got to meet the architect and the CEO of the new MMP Center, which is the old Lindsay Park, which is undergoing some renovations. So the kids got to talk with them about their ideas, and then the class broke up into groups, and they actually did a pitch deck, like a little dragon's den. They had to come up with what kinds of amenities they'd like to see to enhance the new MMP renovations, and then they presented their ideas on the pitch stage for feedback. That was, again, we had 4 winners, and we had just 1 site. And this year, again, we'll have 4 sites and 3 school boards, and there's like 64 winners, so we probably won't get to that. But we really, the judges that judge the video really are those community champions for each site. So from counselors to CEOs to architects and project managers, they're getting they're going through these videos that we're starting to build a summary of what those elements are and what those highlights are, and we'll get into what happens next with those. We talked about some of the AI pieces, but we really do want to find ways to engage youth respectfully but authentically in city building. So that's really the traditional that's the process and the gears behind it. I do want to get into one more story before we kind of open it up here a bit. But many of you will know Nabil Ramji from Pedesting, and he's one of the many characters, like I said, in this year. You know, we've got Wakefield does some poetry, and really I want to talk about how representation matters and how this has opened up a door of learning for both the city and students. So Nabil, if you don't know his story, he has cerebral palsy. He is in a wheelchair. He's developed an app to navigate the city that tailors to your mobility needs. And so when we have this underground C train station, you know, we want it to be accessible. So Nabil's a character in the game. He was supposed to be the first ever Minecraft wheelchair character, and we pitched it to Minecraft, and they loved it. And they got so excited that they actually used a wheelchair character in another city's build that launched before ours, their first season, but before we launched our second season. So Nabil's you can see it doesn't crush his ego at all. He's still pretty excited. And so but Nabil is one of the characters, and you know, he has communication can take some time with Nabil, and so you know, he's got a video in here as well, a YouTube video that goes along with this, and one of the last week, so I think it was Thursday of last week, a superintendent from Calgary Board of Education gave me a call and said, Jay, we've got this classroom that it doesn't fit the judging criteria because well, they did the build together and it doesn't fit. You know, it's not a grades 1 to 3 is one age range, and then grade 4 to 6 is another, and then junior and senior high. Well, this classroom is a class for neurodiverse and physically challenged students that are health compromised. So almost all the students, I think there's one student in the classroom isn't in a wheelchair, but they'd heard of the Level Up Challenge. And it's a grade 1 to 8 classroom, so they're all together. And they'd heard of the Level Up Challenge. They watched Nabil's video, and here was this guy that looked like them. He was in a wheelchair. For some people there would be communication barriers, or it took some time to understand sometimes what Nabil is trying to get across. He's so, I mean, if you know Nabil, he's sharp as a whip, and he's hilarious. But here's this guy that represented them, or they could connect with, and nobody asked them. Rarely would people ask them what they thought about the future of their city, or what they wanted to see in their community, or what their school should do to be more open to them. And yet here was Nabil, who really had some of the same challenges and opportunities that they had, and people wanted to, people were listening to him. He was seen as a community leader, and that opened the door for them. So these students really wanted to participate. It's great on the students, great on Nabil for participating and being that role model. And then it really turned on to the teachers, because the students couldn't navigate Minecraft and the keyboards. So the teachers used some coding and some buttons, very similar to the Staples That Was Easy button. And so the students were able to maneuver their wheelchair, use different implements to hit these buttons, tear down blocks, build other blocks, and then each student designed an element of an accessible playground outside the library. And so we had, again, amazing teachers, a real approachable, easy platform, and then representation. So this is, Keith, we were talking before about how engaging with the city can be pretentious. That seems to be our word of the day. Or there are so many barriers that we just don't care to address. And so reaching those those that are hard to reach is important, and it is meaningful. And yes, it'll take creativity, and yes, it'll take problem solving and sometimes MacGyver skills, like on that behalf of these teachers. But we have to find the time, the resources, and to make that effort worthwhile. And so my goal is to take some city planners, our accessibility team, our parks team, hopefully the Parks Foundation, and go meet with these students and with their teachers, and get some one-on-one time with them, so they have a chance to explain the pieces of their playground. All right, and of course, that's the student side of it, and the community side. We are trying to work towards building that vibrant downtown, right? So getting these ideas, feeling ownership of the city, having a chance to participate in the planning, especially around creating great public places, is really how I justify being on this project. And we are working towards a youth strategy development, which again, the Level Up will continue to play a key role in that, because it gives us that chance to encourage young people to participate. So we have done, we had this economic resilience task force right at the beginning of COVID, where we brought community leaders together to come up with ideas on how we could come out of COVID stronger, and engaging young people, because of the multiple reports that said that young people want to leave Calgary, and that's typical for young people to. About 40% of young people across the country say that in the next 3 years they're going to leave their hometown. In Calgary, it's up around 69%. So they want to go somewhere else for post-secondary. They want to go travel after they finish university. It is an identified problem. So we have to find ways to make Calgary feel like home. We have to work with students to develop networks here, because it's easy to transport your resume and pack up your Ford Focus and move to other cities, but you can't move your network. And so it's much harder anyways. So that's our goal, is to make people feel a part of our community, and even if they do go away from school, help them come back. So we also did a project with Bloomberg and Johns Hopkins University, where we did some experiments with young people about identifying opportunities and gaps in senses of belonging. And hopefully that's leading to this development of a youth strategy with the community that's we should be working on soon, I hope. Yeah. And so I'm going to leave it there, but just to spark some conversation, because I'm supposed to be engaging people and all I've done is talk. So happy to take questions about the project and things that, what's next. But it'd be great if we could talk about, how all Calgarians can become better engaged in city building. Of course, the role of technology. I've talked a little bit about, the efficacy of using AI with young people's information. For this, gamification of engagement has really helped encourage it. But does gamification make it less valid? I have feelings. And then just this more of a not a rhetorical one, but is youth input as valid as other members of a community? And if so, then how do we be better at soliciting it? And with that, I'll open up to questions or comments, and feel free to tell me where I've screwed up. Oh, and there's chat. See, I wasn't paying attention to the chat. Oh,
A couple messages from Keith in there.
Alex Sarian would be a killer NPC. Well, yes, and he is. He is a killer NPC. It's he's got an amazing suit, and so he talks to people about the value of the arts, and then I brought he had like a 5-minute window that I could film in. It was too quick for our film crew to get over there, so I filmed him with my iPhone, and he laid down an unscripted 2-minute tirade on the value and the ROI on arts dollars. I think it's 6 to 1. So for what we invest in arts versus what people pay on parking and dinner and drinks, and where that artist dollars go after that. Yeah. So an attraction. But all right. So Keith's got lots of comments, but yeah, happy to take any questions. It's a smaller crowd tonight, so we can. I didn't know it was so small, or else I would have been more interactive throughout.
Yeah, this is very, very cool project, Jason. I noticed that was getting some traction down in Austin with South by Southwest. So
yeah, that was fun.
Tell us a little bit about that and how it was received down there.
Yeah, so Minecraft called and said, "Jay, have you heard by Southwest?" And yeah, I'm a cool guy. I know all about it. So great, and well, we really think that we would like to highlight what Calgary's done, and we just think make a great panel in South by. And yeah, that'd be awesome. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll get permission to go. And then they're like, "Oh no, not you, but you think the mayor would come?" And so my ego was put in check, and then I talked to the mayor, and the mayor was like, "Yeah, we're going down," and we talked about taking a crew, and in the end, I think there was movie and television folks, of course, right, from CED went down, and some of the mayor's staff went down, and I stayed home and cheerleaded. But thanks for bringing it up, Jeff. It's not sensitive at all. But yeah, so I don't think the mayor realized how Calgary really is leading this. So we've kind of become this sandbox for Microsoft and Minecraft to try their new technology, to not just within the game, but of engaging communities. And we had a kid he was in grade 6 from that Lake Bonavista school, but he coded himself. He was able to take all those NPC characters And so it's not just building blocks like Lego. Like there's lots of code to make water fountains or to make lights turn on. Well, he coded a way to gather all the NPCs and turn them into vibrant characters on his own build site. So the mayor was at his build site, and he coded a way into making her own text boxes and everything. And so then Minecraft was like, wow, how'd you do that? And then took that and then turned that into a kit or a module for other schools to do, right? In their builds. So so South by Southwest, I think that for me, and just my own career stability, the mayor was blown away by how cutting edge this really was. And so it's also turned into Minecraft did a 20-minute case study on Calgary, and that was shown at the World's Mayors Conference earlier this year. And yes, we're not on the same map as Buenos Aires and London and New York and Los Angeles, except that with this project and really minimal investment from the city or CBE, it has become that. So are there any rendering the streetscape into are they rendering? Yes. Yeah. So there's actually companies that contract out to Minecraft. So there's, I want to say this is Mino Labs. I think it's on one of the videos, but they were contracted out. So here's the Google Maps of the sites and aerial views and street views, and then they go and build it. And so it's, I don't know, Minecraft has been pretty close to their chest about what the budget is, but we are the biggest build right now. London is like you can download the London site. It's pretty good actually. Theirs is I mean, they're just a much bigger market, so theirs is really, really good as well. And you can get access. You have to a Minecraft education membership is free to every Calgary student. Every Calgary student has an account with their Microsoft Student 365. If you don't have Student 365, it's like $15 a year, but then you can download all the cities and see their builds. Yeah. Anything else you want to chat about? Like, yeah, Keith, you shared your experience of going to an open house that was maybe didn't come across as welcoming.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, you mentioned Alex. He was one of the presenters at the Future of the Cities that Avenue put on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
and 100% was expecting a Josh Trapto evening. He was one of the presenters as well. Alex really stole the show, and what was good for me was hearing the conversations about how it is that we try and express what our cities are. And he let me riff on his presentation a little bit afterwards and a little one-on-one. And what I was able to express to him is like, if we take a look at the DNA of our cities and how it is that we become one with our cities have to represent more than just the people who can afford theater tickets. They have to represent those who are doing the work and walking the streets and all of that. And the point I was able to use was like a plant, that when we envision a plant, quite oftentimes we envision the flower or the leaf, and that's really, really easy to do. But what we don't do is we don't take a look at the stem or the roots, or, and it's just maybe it's just a couple of square millimeters worth of a stem, as a for instance, but that is absolutely vital to that plant. And when we don't reflect on those things, when we consider streetscapes and how our cities look, it's no wonder that we don't have people who are really loving it. They're here to make money, no question, but they're not going to go outside because their city doesn't represent them, and it doesn't embrace them the way some better cities do. And I'm just stoked to see that that you're doing this, and that, you know, like the likes of Alex is reflecting better on not just the location, the actual sandstone and the asset, the wealth and all the rest of that, but rather how is it that these people are a part of our city, and how do we talk about those people in the past? How do we talk about those people now, and create that synergy of folk?
Yeah, I think this will be interesting as the densification of downtown starts to happen, right? We've seen these office conversions. Jeff Ross, we present Kate Koplovich from Calgary Economic Development and I presented on the Innovation District a few months ago. As that starts to take shape, what does that is it co-created? Is it co-created with just tech and developers, or how are we bringing in arts and new Canadians, those living on the edges of society? How are they all a part of co-creating a successful neighborhood? And I think what we've identified already in the Innovation District is that Calgary's advantage, or our niche, really has been some of that social innovation. So yes, we're a fintech hub, but a lot of that fintech has been based on being socially minded. If you look at Benevity or Simon, or even Neil for that matter, right? It's about doing things better for all. I think that's an advantage. The other piece is that our arts community has always had oil and gas as a patron, and so it has been in the past. It has been, I don't want to say elitist, but also staunchy, right? Like if you look at some of the art that had happened here, it was maybe as not as vanguard as says me without an arts degree, but we're seeing that people like Alex are seeing the opportunity here, that artists are really starting to push the limits, and maybe some of that boom bust cycle has caused desperation, which leads to creativity, which makes it, and our affordability makes us a great place for artists, not just to live, but to find empty spaces if it happens. So I'm not saying here everything is peachy keen, but I just think there's a real opportunity to explore that innovation district as a whole community, and I would like to see with Alex has got the Arts Common build coming. We talked about how Arts Commons can be involved next season, and I think the innovation district, where the library had that street design. Well, is it a piece of Stephen Avenue? Is it 6th Ave? Is it 3rd Street? I don't know. But, how would you design a innovation district that causes collisions, that begs people to come and be downtown, to play, to work, to learn? That whole collision space will be really fun, I think, to build in real life and in Minecraft. But yeah. Of course, you've got my contact information too, right? And Ross knows you can ping me lots of times on LinkedIn, so you can find me and happy to chat further anytime.
Yeah. So that kind of the issue you mentioned around kind of young people wanting to leave Calgary and that sort of thing. And that was one of the big reasons why the sort of the Learning City initiative kind of pulled together, and it involves a lot of post-secondary and others at kind of that level around attracting. And of course, there's likely a connection between high school and the middle ground, and then university and graduate. So
yeah,
are you guys sort of collaborating or looking at sort of that the kind
it's
of
funny you bring that up,
longer
Jeff.
pathways?
Yeah, I spent this morning brainstorming with David Finch just about that, right? As I was saying, we've got this continuum that shows the city's working on this youth strategy, and he goes, yeah, but have you been I think he's the one who gave me that stat. the 69%. So
Yeah.
I think he said 40 was the average, and then it was 65, 69 for Calgary. And so if it's not me that misquoted him, he just gave me a bad stat if it's not real. But I was just saying, like, yeah, we shouldn't be doing that as the city itself, especially when it comes to reaching youth. We're not that trusted. We're not the cool kid. We're that the creepy dad on the block nobody trusts, right? We have to use Trellis and those institutions and organizations that have that relationship with young people in order to engage them authentically. So that's what we talked about. Is wouldn't that be a great pitch? Because again, we're still going through some reorg and some changes. So it's an empty space right now that. Again, for my own job security, I should probably be looking at engaging in, right? So, Jeff, exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I was going to mention David Finch and what the various things that he's involved with, and connecting some of that stuff up as well.
But a conversation with him is like drinking from the fire hose, right? There's just so much that I don't know how people have that kind of energy, and just to keep track of all the deliverables I said I do as a result of our chat today. It's intimidating.
That's cool.
I think the city has a genuine opportunity to be authentic, though. Of late, it seems that everybody I've met who's cool over the last 5 years is employed at the City of Calgary. So it's how do you capitalize on that without, standing in your own way. The city has done a really good job over the last probably 10 years of creating documentation that if you put their money where the mouth is, it's going to translate to a really solid city.
Yeah.
But we keep standing in our own way.
Keith, it seems to be this network, right? I don't want to call them just circle of friends because it does go beyond that. But there are amazing policymakers. Like you look at the Jen Malzers or the Andrew Sadors that are just doing tons of cool stuff. David Bastow, Monique Nessett, they're doing this amazing stuff, and a lot of times it's without budget, and it tends to be leveraging relationships. We're just connecting people with you talk about, okay, well, David Finch has got that, and Jeff's working on this, and Keith's been chatting with these folks, and so it's that ecosystem that we've been saying that Calgary needs for so long, right? And every time you hold one of these events, you add another person to that ecosystem, and platform has done that for a lot of groups. I think there's still groups that don't always fit in there. Or you think of the work that Greg Hart and the folks at Inception are doing, and we're my pitch to Chapel Hill about why they should come to Calgary is because you can go to the bigger cities and struggle to connect with people and struggle to advance your idea. But Calgary, it's just that 6 degrees of separation can feel like 20. And Calgary is 2 degrees at best. If you just put it out there, somebody knows somebody that can help you. And that 2nd degree of separation is probably just a cousin you forgot about. We're so, there is that real attitude where we all want to help each other. And people go for beers all the time and or have sessions like this, and I don't know, I don't see that. I haven't felt that in other cities. So you're right, we have to put our money where our mouth is. I don't know if our 4-year budget cycle isn't great for spontaneity and seizing opportunity, and so we have to leverage these relationships so that when someone says, hey, I've got this weird grant for drones, can we talk about food security and drone delivery and put them together, right? Or when Prairies Canada, who another amazing group, when you think of how they've integrated themselves into our community, especially on the regional ecosystem side, the connections that are happening that are turning that the limited budgets we do have into amazing projects.
Yeah, I love using Ellie McMillan as an example, because that whole underpass project was 100% we will ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Everything from a policy perspective stood in the way of something like that being accomplished. And it would have been so much egg on face for the city had they turned around and scrubbed that thing away. But instead it was like, okay, yep, no, that's good. Thank you, Ali. And then, just tail between the legs and walk away backwards really slowly.
Well,
that kind of stuff is it seems like it's just a tiny little barrier away from the city to be able to start to, use partners and so on and so forth, but don't let the policy stand in the way of some cool stuff happening.
So, well, here's my question then. So, because Ross, Jeff, you all, I mean, Keith, you've seen it too, but how does city bureaucracy and policy keep up with innovation? Right? Like you think of building permits and development permits, then I think was it makers, what's the makerspace 50
Fuse 33.
Fuse 33, right? So they went and they bought this really cool European HVAC system that was super efficient and didn't match our codes, and they had to take it all out, right? With innovation happening as fast as it could, whether it's drones or autonomous delivery robots, or even timber frame design has gone through the roof. How does the city get better at saying yes to new ideas and creativity, so that we can be not just this ecosystem of really well connected people, but a city that's open to exploration and a city that's excited and open to what's next?
I think you need to be able to build that into every department, like have somebody in there to help drive the innovation. If there is that innovative idea, okay, we'll make this like the initial test pilot exception. Like I know, talking to Andrew and him trying to get his projects underway, he sometimes has to advocate for a while to the other departments to try and get approval on different things.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody in each department who is focused on trying to look at that leading edge innovation, so that there can be a discussion before those applications come to the city, or while they're still in progress, leveraging those connections in the community, so that we can at least get like an establishment of like, yes, we'll run this project, test it out, and then slowly roll it out more. You have to really build in, I'm going to go back to my agile project management, like build in aspects of agile into each section of the city and try to implement those in those micro sections, and then have collaboration between those departments as well, because so much of that innovation comes from having innovation between different cross departments and organizations. So it's really facilitating that within the existing bureaucratic ecosystem with at least enough openness that we can start leveraging it. But we've done that in the past. It's just a matter of opening that door a little bit farther.
Ali's war cry is, it's a pilot.
Yeah. Yep. That gets you through procurement too. That's the other piece, right? There's another tough one. Like, so much of innovation is that collaboration between NGOs and industry and post-secondary. And I mean, David Bastow and I have both been wrapped pretty good by the procurement stick for just saying, hey, here's a good idea. Doesn't matter who it comes from and who owns the IP after.
Yeah, but there has been some good examples though, right? Of like, take that procurement issue, right? And so like Guelph was turned their whole innovation system on the head, right? And instead of putting out giant RFPs, they put out challenges, right? And then got responses, and it didn't matter what size of organization you really were to be responding to those challenges.
And we've done tours there. The downtown strategy went there. We had a whole contingent there.
Yeah.
And procurement.
But what underlines that, of course, and kind of the root cause, I think, of a lot of it is culture, right? And it's the sort of the risks tolerance that either perceived or real that the city, virtually any government actually has, right? So there are certain roles within government that you should not be taking risk around health and safety and some of those very fundamental things, right?
Yeah.
problem is that risk intolerance gets spread everywhere in places that it shouldn't be, right?
In arts, right? We see
Yeah,
it in arts. Yeah.
in many different places where and so it takes leadership, it takes examples where somebody maybe has taken a risk and then gets rewarded for it as opposed to punished for it, right?
Yeah.
Thou
Actually,
shalt
and
not,
then go ahead.
sorry, thou shalt not challenge the status quo of the very large city corporation. I think that's one of the things that people are afraid of the most. You hit it on the head, Jeff. It's how can we find ways to celebrate these innovative thinkers or thought processes and not just quash them, or finding a way to quash them, having people in our policy making realm in the city going, no, hang on a sec, there's something to that, let's let them go for a little bit. It's a pilot, let's see what it does.
Yeah. And I mean, there's reason for it, right? Because again, while we're all upstanding and individuals, we have been burned before, right? Where internally people have done some questionable things with procurement and got caught, right? And it's a blemish. It undermines the rest of the work that the good folks in government are doing. And we've had issues where IP has been leveraged for personal use or personal gain, and so we've learned from that as well. So you see that in our IP contracts, but there are organizations that have managed to find it. You talk about Guelph. Airdrie has a way somehow within their procurement framework that if a local bid is within 5% of, or 5 or 10% of the lowest bid, then they're able to go with a local bid because of the economic benefits. We've talked about benefits-driven procurement and the benefits there. There's another good one. Oh, Foresight Canada, who's out of platform. They're doing some really good things about hosting challenges for governments, because governments are kind of tied up. So rather than saying, I want a D9 cat to clear snow better, you can say, we want to have safer sidewalks in the winter. Share us your ideas and work through the Foresight Canada to facilitate that. The other good one, I had one more. Foresight Canada. Oh, Alim Barwani, Dr. Barwani. He's actually in health at the U of C. But he's done this whole research project on third-party brokers of trust, that when a government tries to do things, industry or academia or the community might not trust them just because they've been burned in the past or that they're slow. And having a third-party intervener through this scale and process that they have been working on is a way to skirt that, or not skirt it, avoid and build trust between traditionally opposing organizations. But
that continual burn is where we end up getting really seated into the how of things. And we did it like this before, we'll continue to do it like this. Why? Because we got burned, rather than these kids in that 2-minute video, as much as they were talking super fast, they talked about the whys and what the outcomes needed to be. And it wasn't about what they built, it was about why they built it. And if you can't stay focused on the why bother with the how?
How many opportunities are lost through the bureaucracy, right? Because it's just not worth it. And I think you've got some really good crusaders, not just the people in this room, but both internally and externally, that are pushing those boundaries and are setting the expectation that you can't afford to be stuck in the mud anymore. We can't. I wonder. I often think that being in Detroit in the worst years would have been super exciting, because you had nothing to lose and you were desperate, and you say, you want to set up a fireworks factory in this warehouse, go ahead, right? And you said yes to everything because you had no other choice.
So, like with the Detroit example, made the music scene great there.
Right? Yeah. Well, the underside, the affordability, and then you think of Zach Pashik, who from Broken City, right? He went and started Detroit Bikes there. So he moved from Calgary, Sold. He had privilege probably before he left, but moved there and started. Took a government grant to set up a factory and start a business, and he's booming. Right. Just sees an opportunity.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, I mean, kind of, strikes me, right, that innovation, kind of moves at the speed of trust, right? And so, like one thing that's made a difference, I think, in Calgary is like the rainforest, Alberta, and the relationships that have been developed through rainforest. The basis of a social contract, right, which is visible and pays attention to some of the softer types of issues. And I'm just wondering whether there could be some sort of rainforest equivalent, right, for youth and young people, right, where they're given an opportunity to engage, with each other and with the city and with community groups, so that they really kind of realize what's going on and that we're all trying to work together and have that social connection actually build momentum to staying in Calgary and being part of the solution, as opposed to running away from the problem.
but how do we encourage the entire community to foster that, right? Like come into Aspen Properties and Ampersand and hold your student council meeting there once a semester or something, I like that idea. And connect it outside of just your school community. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that ties into even just like the innovation district aspect, like to build that community and filter it through and push it through that funnel. And then eventually it creates those connections, and it's building those collisions and kind of both building the space, but also building the network of people and the connections to be able to create more of that.
And getting an opportunity, not to sit on your laurels exactly, but to pause and, for lack of better terms, celebrate that for a time. There's a lot of people who try very hard and efforts are made. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. But when you're only striving to solve problems continually, everything seems like it's a problem. So when you can pause for a moment and say, hey, we just did something cool. Let's chill and let's enjoy this before we get on to the next thing.
Yeah, I was actually in one of the local startup events, and they were talking about that with like a lot of startups and people who are running businesses. I always focus on the next thing, and I think we do that here in Calgary because we've got a lot of the entrepreneurial minded people. And to your point, Jason, like we've had that economic up and down, and we don't necessarily take the time to be able to acknowledge what we have had success in and sometimes reinvest in that success. We acknowledge or we have the success shortly and move on to other new ideas versus taking some of that fertilizer and water and growing the ones that we've already been developing along the way. And Jason, I noticed in the background you have some live arts performances going on, which is wonderful to hear. Just like I've got my birds in the background.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, it's the gamification again. So her music teacher writes a software program they run on their laptop, and then she's given this is your track you're playing, and then she plays it while it's playing as well. But then it tells you, yeah, you're flat on this, you were off on this, and so she gets a score every time. So she's just warming up now, but it will get into music hopefully. But anyways, you'll get a score, right? Okay, that's a 70%, that's a 78, and it's always give me one more try. Let me give me a try, and so she'll play for longer than I want to.
It's all right. It's not overpowering in the background. It really sets the ambiance there.
Yeah, I think we're kind of over the top of the hour, so maybe a good time to kind of wrap it up. Thanks so much, Jason, for your insights as always. And we're like to have you back in the future for some of the other really interesting projects that you're working on.
That sounds great, Jeff. And yeah, we'll catch up all soon, and I'll introduce you to Amanda for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you for making it, everybody. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna hit the stop on the recording. So thank you for those who may be watching in on the recording there, and see you next time.
Cheers.
Take
All.
it easy, Al.
Thanks.